Hello, friends. This week, you guys are in for a treat as we are going to give you a little peek behind the scenes. For those of you that don't know, Monique and I have a membership called the Kingdom Minded Mompreneur. And inside of it, you get access to a daily social media action plan that I just would like to say is pretty much fire. I write the content for that, and it is so good. It's everything and more that I wish I had when I was in the industry. But we also do a monthly Q&A. And so people get the opportunity to submit questions. We go live into the Facebook group and we answer those questions. And so we have a little bit of a mashup today for you to hear some of the questions that are asked and our answers, and just some really good banter and conversation, and just how we support our members who are looking to build their direct sales business and be a kingdom minded mama. Welcome to the Kingdom Minded Mompreneur, where we, Becky
and Monique, your new biz besties, both busy moms just like you.
We're here to talk all things network marketing, mom life, and how to truly live out your calling. We'll be dropping 2 episodes each week to help you, the busy mompreneur, know the exact strategies to build both your business and your home. You'll hear each week from one of the top network marketers on their best tips for what's led to their success and what's working now.
We know that you're here because you are called to something more. You have a desire to succeed in both your business and at home, and we are going to teach you how. If you love what you hear here on the podcast and want to be one of our success stories, join us inside our community, the Kingdom Minded Mompreneur, where we provide a daily social media action plan, additional resources, kingdom coaching, and more. Click the show notes for the link to join. So let's get into the episode. I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, what type of culture is it with the audience that you're speaking to? Meaning the Instagram culture is just a tad bit different than the Facebook culture.
Yeah.
What you put on your wall is just a tad bit different than what you're going to put on your VIP page. And so you're probably going to tweak. This is just me personally, what I do. It's like if I post something on Instagram and I also want to post it on Facebook, I might tweak like one sentence, or I might tweak, say, for example, Instagram, there's not links that you put on Instagram. So if I'm wanting to put a link, I'll make sure I, type it up again or copy and paste it and add a link on Facebook or whatever. So I think in general, you can use the same content, but recognize your audience and who you're speaking to. So it might be how you address it might need to be tweaked a little bit. It might be, maybe if you're speaking to your VIP page, you might want to add like a special incentive that you have for them.
Yeah.
That would be my answer.
Yeah, I think you answered it really well. I think it's totally up to you, because some people might want to use some of the specific content inside of a group, or you might want to even change the way it's worded so that it filters people to join a group in order to, get access to the live video or whatever it is. And so I definitely think you also keep in mind that only about 3% of people, if that, it might have even gone down, you guys, but like 3%, 2 to 3% of people that follow you or are friends with you will see your content. And that's probably like, oh my goodness, meaning like that gives you permission though to put it out in a lot of different places. So I think instead of just like worrying about, oh, but if I put it on this platform or in this group or in this place or whatever, people might not see it, when really people might even be like, oh, I'm so glad she posted it in this and I got this extra reminder. Or they're not, I mean, if it's someone that's following you, they're not going to be like, I cannot believe she shared this content on 2 platforms. Like, like, I don't think they'll know. They're following you for a reason. And so I would just don't overthink it. Just be obviously the consistency of it. And you have permission to use it in all the places, I guess is what I'm trying to say, but use discernment and kind of tweak it just like she said. So yeah, sounds good.
Yes. Follow up to this is how to gain more engagement in the VIP group. So there's a lot of things that you could do for engagement. One is ask yourself, the content that you put out, are you asking for feedback? So it could be things where you're asking people's advice. So say, for example, you're in a company and you're saying, hey, this product or this product, and you're asking them their advice, like which one do you like more? Or it could be that you run challenges, you do some kind of game or incentive, things like that would be. Becky, anything else that you would add for engagement?
I'm trying to think. I feel like I had a podcast episode on this a long time ago. I'll see if I can find it and I'll put it in the comments of this. But I think at the end of the day, just asking yourself, like, am I putting out content that I would want to consume? So, like, are you doing things that you would want to engage with? And if you're not, then say, okay, what kinds of groups or people that I follow, am I commenting on? What is the kind of content that they're putting out? What is it that I personally enjoy? Because usually the person you're trying to attract is very similar to yourself. So I would just say, what kind of content do you like and are you creating it?
Yes. And to engage back with people.
Oh yeah,
Like
100%.
when they are commenting, make sure that you're engaging back with them.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
all right, the next question is, really heard that hashtags in the comments is better for the algorithm. Do you know anything about that?
Okay. I'll answer this. So there's actually a lot of, back and forth about this. Like, I think in general, unless you are directly connected with Instagram themselves, like you're not going to know the exact answer to all of these things. Like, what is the absolute best thing? But on the actual content piece itself and in the comments, anything like, because you have to look at it like it's its own link in a sense, right? Like, so if you were to even on a computer pull up a specific piece of content, there's at the top of it, and I'm getting a little technical here, but at the top of it, there's a hyperlink. And in theory, if you pasted that hyperlink, everything that is fallen under it, including the comments, right, is searchable. Okay. If it's a public link. Okay. So if your Instagram profile is public and that link is, then everything under that one piece of content is public. Meaning that if you put hashtags in the comments, yes, they are searchable. But for me, when I was going back and forth about where do I put hashtags and whatnot, it was just easier for me to include it in the content. And I kind of like the way it looks aesthetically to have kind of like a space at the bottom and then include a couple of hashtags. And there was also another question about the
How
number of
many?
hashtags. And so I just thought I would address this here too, that really, they used to say, oh, use all 30 hashtags, right? 10 of your niche, 10 of what the product is, 10 of whatever, right? And that is irrelevant now. Now they're saying be more intentional. And so you really only need, in my opinion, I would focus on like 5 to 7. Some people say 3 to 5, but the reason why I say 5 to 7, right, is like, okay, think of like 6, okay? 2 that are based on who you're talking to, 2 hashtags based on what you're talking about, and 2 hashtags based on what is happening. So it's like the who, what, where, when kind of thing, right? And so you don't overthink it though. So for example, if Monique and I were posting about the social media action plan, right? We might do like hashtag, social media action plan, hashtag, social media advice, hashtag. I mean, of course I would try to look these up, but like hashtag, mompreneur, hashtag kingdom minded mompreneur, right? So you get the idea. I'm like very intentional about who it is I'm talking to because the hashtags are searchable. So for those of you that are like, I don't understand the point of hashtags, the point is that when someone types in a specific word in the search bar, and even on things like Google, your post may populate. It might come up because they're able to search a specific topic, like on Instagram and Facebook even. But specifically speaking, I think more so on Instagram. So
So,
hopefully that answers your question.
yeah, and I want to give an example if someone's still like, oh, what does this mean exactly? So, like, let's say I was in a rut with what to cook my family for dinner, and I was thinking, I just want to find like a bunch of different dinner recipes. I could go into Google and type that, or I could go to Instagram and put hashtag healthy dinners or something like that, which I've
Yeah.
literally done this before
Yeah,
and
me too.
pulled up recipes. That's also how I found my hairstylist here in Memphis. I literally typed in Memphis hairstylist, hashtag Memphis hairstyles. That is how I found
That's
the
a great
salon that I
example.
go to.
Yeah. Yeah.
So people are using Instagram as a search engine. So if you can kind of think of it that way, as like in the same way that they would with Google, they're putting in hashtags. So there's a couple comments on the Facebook. I'm looking at the Facebook chat.
Okay.
Whitney is asking, so she was the one that asked this question. She was asking, do you only do hashtags on Instagram? So they are also on Facebook. It originally
They
started
are
with
now.
Instagram,
Yeah.
but they are on Facebook now. So it could be
Hmm.
either. And then Vicky's asking, what about the at tag? So that's going to be when you're tagging someone else. Like if you're wanting someone
Hmm.
else to either collaborate on your post or you're tagging someone, that is when you use.
Yeah. So like people who are like influencers or even obviously with your company, like there would be a lot of times I would create a piece of content and I would be like, I know my company, this is like a good piece, like a good video worthy of them sharing. And so I would tag them in it. And then sometimes they would reshare it. They would like in their stories or whatever. So that's another reason why. Or you can invite a collaborator. So if you are like collaborating, maybe even people in the community, you're like, oh, I am like with Plexus. I don't know, I'm just making something up. I'm with Plexus and I have a solution to help you lose weight or whatever. And then someone in Pampered Chef is like, I'm working on healthy living. And you guys decide to collaborate and you're making content for like a week all about like, what are the tips for whatever, right? Like healthy cooking and different stuff. So anyway, just that's one reason why I love the invite collaborator button. Monique and I share content back and forth all the time. And then we don't have to like recreate it, or we share it with our Kingdom Minded Mompreneur Instagram. And then as far as the at on Facebook, I just want to give you a word of caution. Okay. Don't tag at everyone or at followers on everything that you put out. Okay. Because that will annoy people and they will unfollow you or unfriend you, even in your group, right? Like we use, and there's a reason why it says like, oh, you can only use it once a day. Because they're like, we don't want you to annoy people. Okay. But I would just encourage you, like, only do it on the things that you're like, I really want this to get out to like if you're doing a big event or something, I know that this is going to be valuable to every single person. I want to get the word out. So just that was just a word of caution.
Yes, using
Don't do it.
discretion. So,
Yes.
okay, so Whitney asks, what did you do when you were in the field to help your team book parties from parties?
Yeah. So I would say the first thing is you specifically said help your team. And so that makes me think that you are consistently booking parties. So if you are, I would ask you, what is it that you are doing and can you teach your team how to do it? That's the first thing, right? Because that is the ultimate goal, is to multiply ourselves, right? Is to duplicate the process so that anyone can come into this ecosystem that you've created, your community, your culture, right? And then duplicate the process, do exactly what you've done. But as far as how I specifically did it, um, well, I would say for starters, of course, it starts with onboarding and kind of helping a little bit in regards to, hey, here's how you book parties up front. And then it's like, hey, here's how you book parties consistently, because the ultimate goal, right, is to really not have to be cold messaging, right? The ultimate goal is to be booking from your warm leads, which essentially are the people inside of your virtual parties. And so what I did was when I created I can't, when I think about this, I'm like, I can't believe I did this, but I created a virtual party template, and it's probably part of the reason that led to my success, but I created a new virtual party template every single month for a couple of years for my entire team to use. And of course I did the same thing, kind of like with the action plan, where it was like, there would be parts of it that were like fill in the blank, like put your story here, do this, do that, whatever. And then I would kind of start to tweak it once the whole like, Facebook jail or like, that kind of thing came onto the scene, where it was like, okay, we can't all post the exact same thing. But I provided this template, and then it turned into a like every 2 months. So I would, say, okay, January, February, use the same template. March, April, use the same template. And they loved it. But inside of that template, it wasn't just the content. But it would also have like follow-up things. So it'd be like, here's a game, like ask me anything or whatever, or what. And then I would have a framework for, okay, when someone comments on the post, here's what you need to do. Here's how you reach out to them. As well as I would teach them how part of the host coaching was also teaching the consultant how to interact with the guest. So like part of the host coaching would be like me telling my host, hey, I'm going to be reaching out to everyone in the party to welcome to them. Da, 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 da. I would encourage you to do the same. Here's something you can send. And so you need to basically teach your team how to connect before the ask. So like inside a virtual party, they need to be making connections. They can't just be like posting all this content at people. Like, here's this, like, because when you're posting content in a virtual party, you're talking at someone and you want it to be talking with someone, right? And so just really teaching them this process of taking the content into the DMs, right? Into the direct message. And how can you do that with the people in the group? And so I think just kind of thinking through, like, what is it that you do to book your parties inside of the parties? And how can you duplicate that process and help the people on your team do the same thing?
Yes. So she actually is responding and she said, okay, I do these things too. I just feel like some of them are struggling, but they probably aren't being consistent. Yeah. And I would add also that I feel like host coaching is one of the, one of the strongest ways that you can get bookings, because if you're asking your host and saying, because I actually was in the party space before I was in a different company, but one of the things is I would give that host an incentive for getting bookings before I came to the event. Like I would say, so I was in the jewelry space, I would say, hey, before I get to your house, if you already have 2 people who have
Yes.
said yes to doing their own party, then I'll give you X amount in free jewelry or whatever. And so if you can
Yes.
consider
And
what incentive can you give them? Like obviously your company gives things. And so can you leverage what your company is giving, or can you explain to them how the rewards work and ask them? Because a lot of times they know their friends. And so you can have that conversation, say, who of your friends would be interested in also getting, so you're in Pampered Chef, Whitney, I would say, who of your friends are also interested in getting, free products,
yeah,
and have them say, who those people are, because that's going to carry more weight.
totally
Um,
agree. Yeah.
okay, so Gretchen says, hello, Gretchen. She says, this is what I'm not doing, teaching my team how to follow up after using the template. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause it's like, I mean, again, anyone can copy and paste, I would say to a degree, right? Anyone can copy and paste. But what do they do after they put it's the whole like, don't post and ghost, So it's like it's like you wouldn't expect someone to go do a party in someone's home and sit like they cook the meal and go sit in the corner and talk to no one. Like, let them eat. Here's a catalog. Hopefully they order. It's less likely, right? Unfortunately, right? It's like you kind of have to put on a show. You kind of have to connect with people. You kind of have to work the room. It's the same thing virtually. You got to work the room. And some people just, that does not come naturally to them. Okay. And so what's so beautiful about it though, is that these are skills that can be learned, especially online, right? You don't have to be a people person. I hate to say that, but you don't. Like, you don't have to be a people person. And so you can transfer these skills, but some people they just need to learn how to talk to people, right? You need to give them
Yes.
what to say.
Yes, and you can teach that to your team. Yes. Okay,
Exactly.
there are 2 more questions on Facebook. So Denise is asking, when we were talking about tagging, she said, would it be better to tag each individual member in a group in the comments? So Denise, we would say it's to your discretion. Again, going back to, people don't want to be constantly tagged in things, but if it's like your team and you're like, hey, we've got a team call tonight at 7 o'clock at, 5 leaders, or at everyone, something like that would be
Mhm.
important, because you're wanting to articulate something, you're wanting to get some information across. Just make sure you use that to your discretion.
Yeah. Or
Okay.
even like in a virtual party, if instead of like tagging, you could I would honestly, if someone's said they want to be in a virtual party, I would use it every single day. So if it's like a group that you're doing some kind of event in, I think it's fine to do at everyone, but pick a specific post that you want them to see. So if it's like there's a game happening that would they get a prize or whatever, and it'll get a lot of engagement. That's the kind of thing people want to get tagged in.
Yes. Okay. Rocky is asking Instagram music help. Once I switched to a business account, the selection for my music went down the tubes. My personal account, it's great. Is that just how it is?
Yes, that is how it is. And if you have a business account, they limit the access to audio because a lot of it is copyrighted. And so I guess for whatever reason, they don't want businesses unless you're like willing to pay for the music kind of thing, which is interesting because we don't have that option. So I'm not exactly sure because so many, like us even, we would be considered a business, right? Like Scripp and Baxter LLC. And so, yeah, I would do a creator account, like a personal account, make it a creator account. And then, because you don't have an LLC probably, and maybe you do, but I would just make yourself a creator so that you have access to more things. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we have answered all of the questions.
Woo-hoo!
So if you guys are coming back on the replay, first of all, hello, glad you are joining us. And if you still have a question, drop it in the comments and we'll monitor this video and we'll come back and answer those questions. But keep in mind, once a month, this is what we provide to you. So as you're going throughout the month, if you think of questions, let us know. And then when we do our monthly Q&A, so the next one being in February, we'll make sure that we answer your questions. And it doesn't just have to be social media. It can be anything business related. It can be anything mom life related, how to do
team building,
your time,
developing leaders, whatever. Yeah. All the things.
All right. Okay. Well, with that, thank you guys for being on and you guys have a wonderful day.
Bye, guys.
Thanks so much for listening to the Kingdom Minded Mompreneur. If you loved what you heard today, could you stop and give us a 5-star rating and review? It helps our visibility on podcasting platforms so others like you can hear more of this message.
Also, if this episode encouraged you, we would love for you to pass it along to your own biz bestie and anyone else who could benefit. Lastly, don't forget that if you want to hang out with us just a little bit more, join us inside the Kingdom Minded Mompreneur community. Click the link in the show notes. Bye for now.